we're back in Bumi Reptile Sanctuary with our second ever mini episode. What we're going to be tackling in today's mini episode is building what I call a wildlife classroom. What this is a bit of a sunken area where it's a big circle with a lot of different benches and chairs and a stage with a lot of animal enrichment on it that zookeepers or presenters can come onto stage with animals and kind of show the visitors what the park is all about, teach them about the animals while showing off some of the natural behaviors of these animals, and just kind of getting people involved, You can have people come on the stage and engage in activities with these animals. I got the idea kind of from, zoos all over the world, really. All zoos kind of have animal shows, so to speak, and a lot of modern zoos, what they're doing is they're reframing the idea of an animal show. No longer do you really have animals coming on the stage to do random tricks for no reason. Like, for where you see a dolphin balancing a ball on its nose, you're not having much of that. In a lot of modern zoos now, what you have is these shows being reframed as presentations where you have animals that are less likely to be stressed out that you can bring onto stage and have them demonstrate their own natural behavior, such as foraging. For example, I recently saw one of these presentations at Singapore Zoo, and what they did was they had a raccoon, they came on stage and they had foraging boxes and things like that, and they just kind of let the raccoon do its thing, forage like a raccoon would. So that was pretty cool, and I think that's kind of what they would do here in this part of the park. They'd have a presenter come on the stage with maybe a few reptiles like big snakes or, some monitors maybe, a tegu if we have one. Obviously these animals aren't really in the game, but I can dream. Yeah, they'd just come on stage with these animals, maybe some birds as well, because birds do pretty okay in these situations. They don't get overly stressed out and they can be trained pretty well. And maybe even some small mammals. You could bring a pangolin onto stage. Obviously it would get pretty stressed out, but if you just kind of bring it out for a bit, show it off, take it away without having anyone handle it, it probably would be okay. This whole experience I think would be really good for visitors. It's very educational because all of it would be presented in such a way as to put emphasis on the plight of these animals in the wild, the whole conservation aspect, while just showing these animals up close and interacting with people and showing off their natural behavior. It's much more visceral than seeing an animal behind a pane of glass, I think, and it really helps with the educational aspect of a park like this, because people are gonna, I think, take in a lot more information if it's being presented on stage with an animal, as opposed to if they were just reading it on a board in front of an exhibit. So I think having the wildlife classroom here, it's a pretty cool idea, I think. I really like how it turned out as well. It was a bit tricky to get in because the path system in the game it can be super useful, but it can also be a nightmare. So, eventually I got it to work pretty well, and I made it look kind of naturalistic, so to speak. So, using artificial rocks and stuff to make an area look natural. And I kind of framed up the stage a little bit, put on some habitat enrichment on top of the stage, as well as some more rocks and another sign that says Bumi. Isn't Bumi Reptile Sanctuary, of course, and some more trees and foliage just around the edges to frame the whole area a little bit more and to kind of isolate it slightly so that, people just walking on the path aren't gonna, look down into an animal show, but they know how to get in there. So I do think it turned out pretty well. And I'm trying something new with the cinematics. I've actually set the time of day to late evening to get that whole golden hour look, I think. And it looks pretty cool. I like the lighting, because the lighting in the game is amazing, but I don't make enough use of it. Usually, I just kind of film everything that I do at a very specific time in the game, which is like 1:30, which is the best lighting, which just makes it easy to build, but may not make for the most interesting of cinematic shots. The cinematic shots are always clear because the lights are, it's full-on bright afternoon light, but they're not interesting, so to speak. So I'm trying something new with today's cinematics, and I hope it turns out okay. I think it looks pretty cool. Also in the cinematics are a couple of shots of the new hippo shelter in their habitat. I just redid that quite quickly. I wasn't super happy with the last one, so I just redid it. It's not a whole lot different, but I think it just kind of looks a little bit better. Besides that, I haven't made too many changes since the Watchtower episode, and we're going to be getting into our next episode relatively soon, sometime this week, and then I'm going to start full-time work, so the episodes will all slow down. But I do hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you like, please do leave me a like, comment any feedback you might have if you find this interesting. I don't know if I could upload this particular build to the workshop. I don't think I can, so If you want to play with it, I will eventually, when I finish this park, I will put the whole thing up in the workshop so you can have a look that way. And if you want to build your own, obviously you can just follow along with how I did this here. Another thing I've been thinking of doing is a tutorial on how I do rock work, so I might get that done as well in the next week or so. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!